Hello there, people of the internet. How is everyone doing today? I am doing alright, thanks for asking. Today we're going to be comparing 357 to 762 Tokarev. Apparently they've got very similar ballistics. Every time I talk to somebody about the 762 Tokarev, they always say, oh yeah, it's a hot round, and then they tell me that it's comparable to a 357 Magnum. I don't know if I believe that. So we are going to go ahead and run these through a series of tests today to figure out if 762 Tokarev is in fact comparable to 357 Magnum. Now there are exceptions to every rule. I will point that out right now. If I don't point that out, then somebody somewhere is going to get upset about this test. But there are exceptions to every rule. In this particular case, I will be running ammunition. The 762 Tokarev ammunition I'm running is 85 grain Romanian surplus ammunition, and the 357 Magnum ammo I'm running, since the 762 Tokarev ammunition is in fact ball ammunition, I decided to go out of my way to pick up some 97 grain full metal jackets for my 357 Magnum. Fortunately, that is as close as I could find to 85 grain. I tried to get the grains of the bullet as close as possible to make the test as accurate as possible. But of course there are different loadouts for each round, and I'm fairly certain that at some point in time you will find 762 Tokarev that is comparable to the lower capacity 357 Magnums. I have no doubts beyond, anything that is possible. Just like whenever you compare a 30-06 to an 8mm, there are 8mm out there that are more powerful, substantially more powerful than some of the ball ammunition that the United States was using whenever they were using the 30-06 round. At this day and age, you can't really compare one round to another because there's just so many different variations to that round. So I went ahead and I tried to choose rounds with as similar coefficients as possible. And now we're going to go and compare them. So as my starting comparison test, I have two water jugs right out there on the gun range. I'll be hitting one with a 762 Tokarev Romanian ball round, and I'll be hitting the other with a 357 Magnum ball round, and we will see which one has the biggest explosion. Now a lot of people will not argue, or a lot of people will try and argue that this is not a very scientific test, and I can agree with that to some sort of extent. There's some variables you can gather from this, but there's also others that you cannot. I also did not state the ballistic performance of either of the rounds, and that is because the Romanian ball ammunition, although I could probably find the ballistic data on the stuff I am using right now, I don't see it relevant because the 357 Magnum ammunition that I'm using is custom loaded, and unless I have some sort of ballistic chronograph, I think that's what they call it. I'm not certain about that. I'm sure somebody will correct me down below. It tells you how fast your bullet's traveling, and I do not have one of those, so I cannot tell you how fast the muzzle velocity is out of the 357 Magnum. So as a result, the 762 Tokarev ammunition, the ballistic information doesn't really matter. Alright, without further ado, my 357 Magnum I'm using is the Windicator series from Germany, EAA model, I believe it is. I'm using a Yugoslavian M57. I think it's Yugoslavian that made the M57s. However, this M57 is a cursed gun. Yeah, you heard that right. It is a cursed gun. Every time I've brought it out here, it has hurt me in some way, shape, or form. It does not cycle or function properly. There's something wrong with the frame and the slide, despite the fact that I have done exact, precise measurements and orientations on the thing. Nothing is bent out of shape. Nothing is out of spec. I've measured it down to 1,000th of an inch, and it still does not function properly. The recoil spring in it, right at where it needs to be, the tension is fine. I had some issues with the locking lugs, took care of those with the file. No more issues with the locking lugs. There's something going on with the slide in the frame, and I don't know what, and every time I go to try and figure it out, it hurts me. So we're just going to call it a cursed gun and leave it at that. The 357 Magnum, though, is very nice. I do enjoy it. So the Tokarev, you're probably going to see some malfunctions with it. It will fire, but it will not cycle more than likely. You're also probably going to hear some bird noises in the background. I have peacocks, 5 of them. They're all named Kevin. Perks if you get that reference. Alright, well, we're going to start off with a 357 Magnum, rocking the, I believe they're 97 grain. They're either 97 or 96. I'm pretty sure they're 97. Full metal jacket rounds. Hold on. I guess I forgot to load it. That's good. That means I can show you the round. Here's our custom loaded round. Let's go ahead, stick that in, and now we are ready to go. Now I'm sure somebody's going to point out, you know, since that's custom loaded, it's not an amicable. It's not a valid test. This right here was loaded by a professional reloader. It was not done by myself. I do reloads for ammunition. However, I wanted something exact. I wanted to get this as close to 7.62 Tokarev as possible, so I did call for some outside help. Let's go ahead, walk this down there, and see what the damage does. Oh yes, I'll be firing at point blank range as well. I want to keep my distance of fire and point of aim nice and accurate. I don't want to accidentally hit one side or the other of the targets. I mean, I can hit them from this distance, but I don't want to hit one side or the other. I want to hit them in the center so we get accurate test. Alright, firing. This is old milk too, so this is probably going to suck. Why? Why did it splash back right onto me? Alright, well, I was expecting this 357 round to do considerably more damage than it actually did. I was expecting that to, like, blow up, like, entirely blow up. And it did not. It just kind of split it. We'll take a look at that here in a second. But before that, I'm going to go hit the other one with a 7.62 Tokarev. I got 5 rounds in this magazine. There's no way all 5 of those are going to load. Let's see if she cycles. Don't hurt me, baby. Don't hurt me. There we go. Okay, cool. I will also try and stand at the approximate same distance as I did from the first jug. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be off by a couple inches, but I'm going to get pretty close. Okay, well, the 7.62 Tokarev, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just unload this pistol right now. I was just going to leave a round in the chamber, but I'm going to go ahead and get that out of there because this cursed gun will, like, it'll fall off the chair that I'm using as a shooting stand and shoot me in the leg or something. Well, I was expecting either of those to explode violently. I'll go ahead and throw in a cut of me using a regular soft point 357 round that wasn't made for this test. So, the regular 357 rounds definitely had much more oomph than the 7.62 Tokarev did. However, the ammunition I made for this comparison, very similar, alarmingly similar. That was interesting. These are not 38 specials. These are 357 pressure rounds. Alright, now whenever I said they were similar, I meant compared to a normal soft tip 357. So, the 7.62 Tokarev, we have one single entrance. I did try to shoot it again, but I did miss. You know, the water was just draining, and I didn't want to let the water go to waste. But there's our entry wound. Here's our exit wound. Not a whole lot going on there. I am legitimately surprised at this. I was expecting this to fly apart. 357 Magnum round, though, we got much more penetration power behind it, as you can see. So 357 Magnum is definitely more powerful than the 7.62 Tokarev, as I was expecting, but it's not as much more powerful as I was expecting, if that makes sense. Now, next up, I do have a piece of wood. I'm going to hit it with the same rounds, and we might not see any difference between them. I just want to see what sort of penetration we're going to get through the piece of wood. Alright, now much like the other test, this right here is not really indicative of a scientific test. There might be a knot in the wood somewhere. There might be some inconsistencies in the wood somewhere. Maybe one spot of the wood is softer than the other. This right here is not an accurate representation of the real coefficients behind these rounds. This right here is just a home experiment that I'm doing, mostly for entertainment purposes, but also to see what happens. I mean, this is how you figure things out. You test them by your own accord versus just reading things off the internet. So I have the wood sitting on the ground right here. I'm not entirely sure if that's showing up on camera. If it is not, don't worry. You're probably not going to miss out on very much. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a 357 Magnum round first, and then the 7.62 Tokarev, and we will compare the entry and exit wounds. Well, we definitely hit it. Right smack in the center, just like I was hoping. Alright, now we're moving on to the cursed gun. The 7.62 Tokarev that always seems to freaking hurt me every time. Come on, baby. All right, we're live. All right, we hit it, and also the center of, yeah, she didn't even lock open on this empty mag. Okay, baby. All right, I know you want to get set down. It's cool. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I'll leave you there. Now, to be fair, she did hurt me. I managed to hit that slider the wrong way. Got my hand kind of good right there, so the reputation holds up. Every time I bring her out here, she manages to hurt me one way or another. Well, granted, I do it to myself. It's, you know, an inanimate object with some sort of voodoo curse on it, and I always seem to pull it off. Anyway, let's take a look at this wood. Oh my God, guys, this is surprising. The top round right here, that's our 357 round. Bottom round right there is our 7.62 Tokarev. Guess what? The 7.62 Tokarev went through the wood, and the 357 did not. That is alarming. Yeah, there is no exit wound right there. There is not an exit wound right there. Maybe we hit a knot. I'm going to go ahead and run the test again, and we're going to see if we get the same or at least similar results. That I was not expecting. Both times the wood was hit directly in the center, so that is not one of the inconsistencies. I'm going to try for different areas of the wood, and let's see what happens. Nice and close, so we know we're getting accurate shots. Yep, that one hit pretty good. Now onto our 7.62 Tokarev. It's even looking at me weird, man. I can feel it piercing into my soul with its non-existent eyes. Alright, here's our 7.62 Tokarev. Right in the center, man. Alright, survey says, oh shit. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's a big freaking spider. I'm gonna drop that right there. Oh, there goes the spider. Get out of here, you. Alright, survey says now it looks like we have the opposite effect going on. Yes, right here is where we hit our 7.62 Tokarev, and right here is where we hit our 357 Magnum. Flip it over to the back, looks like the 357 Magnum came out the back this time. 7.62 Tokarev did not. We still have just the single exit wound. Go ahead and confirm that this is just one exit wound here. Yes, that is just one exit wound there. That is interesting. So, inconsistencies with the wood most likely. However, because we do have a 1-to-1 entry wound and a 1-to-1 exit wound, meaning 2 entries, 1 exit per round, that does once again represent similar ballistics, and that is incredible. Now, if you're using a projectile that is, you know, perhaps a larger projectile, maybe you got a 150 grain 357 Magnum, that is definitely going to have a lot more power than a 7.62 Tokarev at 85 grains. The point of this test was to try and get them as similar as possible to see what sort of ballistics we have, how similar they are. The 357 Magnum did outperform the 7.62 Tokarev, but not by much. Definitely not by the wide margin I thought it was going to have. So there might be some validity behind the 7.62 Tokarev being at least similarly ballistically capable to the 357 Magnum. Okay, well, this was a fun little test that I've been wanting to do for a while. I probably should have done a penetration test, but I do not have any more gallons of water with me, so we just had to kind of go by the explosion test that we saw. I wish I had more than, you know, those gallons. This way we could repeat the test, see if we get the same results, but I just do not have that equipment available. We were able to repeat the test with the wood, and we got opposite results, but yielding to similar ballistic results. If that makes sense. I hope I explained that decent enough for people to understand. Well, if you like this kind of stuff, go and subscribe down below. Check out the link in the description below. You're going to find a link to my second channel. It's a gaming channel. I get really drunk, like really drunk, play video games, put it up online. It's a great time. I do it anyway. That's my fallback channel in case YouTube decides to get rid of this one just because they feel like it. This is a gun channel on YouTube, and a lot of social media does not like firearms, which is ridiculous. But that is a rant for another time. Maybe I'll do another video on it. I got my eyes off the camera because I'm watching a bee it's swarming around right here. If you have any suggestions on things you want me to see, I do have this 357 Magnum right here, and I do have a 7.62 Tokarev. Other tests I could run to compare them. Well, that being said, I have another video I have to go make. You guys go off, have a fantastic day. Remember, you are the only one who can guarantee that you will have a fantastic day. And you are the only one who can guarantee that you will not have a fantastic day. So, that is your decision to make. Just remember that the problem is not always the problem. The problem is your attitude towards the problem. That is a quote by Johnny Depp, something I live by every day. Once again, have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.